I'm going to show you how to work through your PowerPhys labs for anatomy and physiology. This is a free resource that's openly available online, and I got to this page because I was given the link by my instructor. So in each of the PowerPhys labs, you'll see the same tabs at the top, and you need to work through all of these so that you get data to analyze and then data to use in the laboratory report section. So the first thing you'll want to do is read through the objectives and then read through the review of the content. Right? And I'm specifically looking at this respiratory volumes lab, but this is the same procedure you follow for any lab. Sometimes there will be animations that you can watch as well. Once you've done that, go on to the PreLab Quiz. And this is usually a series of multiple choice questions, 10 or less, and you put in an answer. I'm going to put in a random answer, check your answer, and then you keep trying until you get all the questions right. If you get a question right, you go to next question. Then you'll go to the pre-lab reporting section. This is going to give you an overview of the lab itself. It'll show you some definitions if you highlight these areas, and then it will ask you to make some predictions, essentially asking you to make a few hypotheses. In several labs, you'll also be asked to identify the variables. This is a scientific experiment that you're going to work on, so there will always be variables. Once you're done, you click Submit to the lab report. Don't forget to do that. And that data will then be transferred into this laboratory report. The next step is data collection, which is actually performing the experiment. And you do have to perform the experiment in order to get the data that will help you do data analysis and answer questions in the laboratory report. So the directions for each lab will vary a little bit, but essentially where you're looking is here, and this one tells us to click on the Start button to begin. So if we click Start, it'll then lead us to other directions. So in this case, it's telling me to take the nose clip and put them on subject 1. And then I just keep following the directions. And you'll see that my data is recording over here. So you'll do that for the entire experiment. And then once you're done, you'll move to the data analysis section. And here, it'll give you directions on what to do with your data. So in this case, it's telling me to go to the data tables, and once you run through data collection, you'll have some data populated in here, and then you have to do some calculations. The next part it will do is generate graphs for you based on the data that you input. So you can see there's no data, no lines in these graphs because I haven't finished the tables yet. But once you've completed this data analysis section, you will go on to the laboratory report. So you're going to submit the laboratory report as a PDF into Canvas when you're done. So don't forget to put your name and your instructor's name, and then you will answer the questions that you've been directed to according to the directions in Canvas. So I'm going to show you that. You'll find this information in the Lab Resources and Tasks to Complete page in Canvas, and you'll see for this particular lab report, I need to complete these questions in the discussion section, and these questions in the analysis section. So it's important to note some of these are open response questions where you will have to answer in sentences. Some of them are simply yes and no questions or reporting a number from your data. So it's not 10 or 12 long, short, or long answer or long response questions. So while you do the lab, you may want to write this down so that when you get to the laboratory report, you will only answer the questions that you're required to. If you answer more, that's perfectly okay. So I'm back in the PowerPhys website. I would have entered my name here and then answered questions in the results section and the proceeding sections according to what I've been asked to do by my instructor. Tables like this and the graphs will be populated with the data that you calculated and obtained during data collection and data analysis. All of that will auto-populate here into the lab report. So as an example of what I said before, this question, these first 4 that you'd be asked to do in this lab are simply, one-word answer questions. So you can think about what's happening in the lab. The analysis questions and the discussion questions may require slightly longer answers. And when you're done, you want to click Save to save your lab report and print a PDF version or click a PDF. So you would click this button. It's going to generate this laboratory report. And then you need to save this to your computer. To do that, you would download, or you can print a PDF, whichever one you're more comfortable with. To print the PDF, click that print button, save as a PDF, click save, and then you just figure out where you want to save it, which of these folders on your computer you want to save it in. The other way you can do this is click download, and then again, you're going to name your file and then save it somewhere in your folders where you'll remember where it is. Once you're done, you would go back into Canvas to the assignment submission and then upload this file, and you're done. So a few last pieces of information. Number 1, if you really messed up and you want to go back and just start all over again, you can click the Reset All button, which will entirely reset the lab so that you start from the very beginning. I would not suggest you do that unless you think you really, really messed up. And my experience has been that if I leave my browser, and as long as I've saved or submitted to the lab report as I've moved through it, leave that browser open and you can come back and pick up where you left off. If you need help, click the Help button, which is available at the bottom of every page in the lab. Help will bring you here, and one thing you want to make sure you're doing is that you're using a compatible web browser. Those are listed here. If you don't have an Adobe Reader, you can download it here. And if you need technical support, you can click here or check the tech support at the top of the modules page in Canvas.